Hello. In this video we will explore how can we easily connect CluedIn to Databricks or any other system that supports Jupyter notebooks or Python. On my screen you can see a CluedIn instance, and if I click on the number of used entity types, there is a plenty of IMDb title entities. When I click on this link I can see search results. Right? So the goal is to export this data to Databricks. In my Azure Databricks, I have an empty notebook, and let's write some code to import this data. To connect to CluedIn API, we will use a CluedIn SDK that is publicly available here, and also we can go to this link and check the code and the README. So first thing, you need to install the SDK. Because we are running it in a notebook, we need to use this magic percentage symbol. Shift Enter to execute the cell. So now it's installed. The next thing is that we need to set up a connection to CluedIn. Let's check the README. So here it shows a simple configuration for credentials that use user email and user password, but we will use the access token instead. We don't need this protocol configuration because we use HTTPS and it's the value by default. For the domain, we will use this domain. The organization name is still a foobar. That's my default name for demo and test instances. And for the access token, let's go to administration, API tokens, and copy the token. Or we can create a new one if we wish. All right. Now let's see how we set up the context for CluedIn. So basically what we need to do, we need to import CluedIn module and we need to create a context, either from JSON file or from a dictionary like here. And here's our context. The next step, we need to execute a GraphQL that will return us our data. So here we have a nice example. We can reuse it. But let's copy this query to CluedIn first and see if this is what we need. And we also need the variables. So we don't need all the entities, we only need entities of a particular entity type. And it's important to mention that for performance reasons and to avoid the collisions, we need to specify the sort by a unique field. So sorting by ID works perfectly. We don't need the total results, and we don't need the name or entity name, but we need properties. Let's run this query. All right. So we have our results, and we also have a cursor. So if we copy this cursor and pass it into the variables here, let's notice the name of the first title in the first page. Now when I run my query, I will get the next page and the new cursor. So this is how we can page all the data in CluedIn. Right, so now the name is different. Now I can copy it and go to my Databricks. Paste it here. Basically, it's a number. All right, now I have my query and query variables, and now I will write code that will get data from CluedIn. As simple as that. So if I run this code, you can see that this is a generator, which means that we can iterate it. So to pull the first record, we can just use next. What I can see here is that my properties are actually in this dictionary, and for the convenience I want to put them on the higher level. So let's write some method that will flatten our properties. In this way, I just delete the whole dictionary from my object. But before I delete the properties dictionary, I want to iterate the properties of this dictionary and store each property on the top level. Okay, so how do I do it? I take my object, and for a key equals to the property name, I put the property value. Okay. The other thing what I want to do is I want to exclude this property because it's always the same. And I want to remove the property prefix that you can find here. We can actually shorten that just to 9 because this is the length of the prefix here. Alright, after we implemented this method, we need to map the results. And put them in a Pandas DataFrame. So let me import Pandas here. So the last thing I'd like to do is to replace the dots and property names with underscores, so it will be easier to import this data in Databricks. And now let's run this code. Alright, a few minutes later, we have our data imported. The number is correct. And the data looks good. The only thing that I want to use the entity ID as an index. Perfect. Let's explore our data. For example, let's see how many genders we have. So as you can see, it's a comma separated string. So we need to do something about it. Let's split it. Okay, now we have an array instead of a string. But we also want to expand. Okay, now each array element is in a separate column. Stack. Cool. And finally, let's count the values. So basically we grouped the genres by count. Can we plot it? I believe we need to do something else. Now it's better. Let's import this data in Databricks. First of all, we need to create schema. And to do that, I need a list of columns. All right, now I need to do some imports. So what do we need to create schema? We need a struct type. We need struct field, string type, and we have one array. Let's create a session. And let's create schema. So we start from the struct type, this list of columns here. Because we will do some group editing. Struct type. Sorry, it has to be struct field. string type. All right. The only thing that one of these fields is actually an array. This guy. Good. Just quickly checking if I didn't miss anything. Now we need to create a Spark data frame. Create data frame, and we pass our Pandas data frame here. Let's handle the array field. And now we need to split the value. So to do that, I need to add yet another import here. Split. Yeah, it looks as I expected. Now let's save this table in Databricks. First of all, we need to ensure that we have the right schema in the database. And if we don't have a schema, let's create it. And now let's save it. Write mode okay. Alright, so it took a few seconds and the data is in the table now. Let's check the data catalog. CluedIn, and here's our new table. We can open it in the Catalog Explorer, and we can see the schema. We can see the sample data. So the same approach works for Microsoft Fabric or any system that supports Jupyter notebooks. That's it.